Hello, and welcome to the Stanley Parable, which I have played before. Please adjust the slider until the computer is barely visible. Mind you, I know YouTube videos are a little bit, they get compressed if I remember correctly. So, we'll not go too dark, we'll actually brighten it a smidge to compensate for the YouTube compression algorithm, I guess. Please enter the current time. It is 9. No, 9:12. Accessibility settings can be accessed from the main menu. I don't know at what point the game is going to start messing me, but if you haven't played Stanley Parable before, so this is a game, and probably the best way to introduce it is to just say that this is a game about a man named Stanley, and we're going to be going on a bit of an adventure. And I've got my 3D audio headset on. I've got the lights low, because this is it's an experience. It's a bit of the best way to describe it without giving it away is to just say it's a choose your own adventure game. And I'll try not to talk overly too much over the narrator because he is absolutely the best part in this.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
So to start off with, we'll be playing the default ending here.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
So like I said, the default ending, just to get our feet warm. We'll get our feet wet a little bit, just to kind of explain kind of what the game is. So as you've seen so far,
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
so as we've seen so far, the game is every so often you'll come across a choice, and that choice determines what path you'll be taking. And essentially, you can do what the narrator tells you, but you don't have to. You can do all sorts of weird stuff if you want. No reason for you to not do no reason for you to do something. So, number of slides on this slide. Slides, charts, slides and charts. rate at which charts on the same slide depict the same information. Synergize core value expenditures, rate of increase in graphs per slide.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him, and so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
And so, we've now
Descending
discovered
deeper into the building,
our
Stanley
boss's
realized
evil
he
lair.
felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Boop.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
427, that's us there. So we're going to flicker back on. Yep, we can see our desk from the start of the game.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
And this is, of course, just the beginning of the weirdness that we're going to experience here.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
And that's kind of the clue there. It's like that's the very default ending. So as it says, this is the way that it was meant to be. And Stanley is happy. But then you immediately start again.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
So now we're going to obviously start pressing things. Don't know how we got it to say input received. Or does it just do that if you push any button on it? I don't know. Whatever. Anyway. But what we really want is to go through here. And we've got two options.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Just drinking it all in. What a wonderful room. Nice little painting of the ocean.
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room.
It is.
A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings.
But there's some
Really
drinks
worth
here.
it.
I could get a cold drink for only $1.25. That's quite
At this
cheap.
point, Stanley, but at last he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
Let's go forwards. I don't like the looks of that room. It looks scary. I'm going forwards.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Do not jump from this lift while it's in motion. It will cause death. Penalty for misuse of cargo lift, $1,000. Penalty for jumping off the cargo lift, $5,000. So if we misuse the cargo lift and jump off of it, we'll end up paying $6,000.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. What?
Made it.
Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Ooh. Will we trust him or will we not? Will we trust him? Will we not? Yeah, we'll go red.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me.
Just
Do
like
you
in
see
the
that
Matrix.
I really have wanted you to be happy all this time. The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see
Going
that it's
around
killing us, Stanley?
in this circle.
I wanted to stop.
Let's try going the other way.
We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you. What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
The weird happy chamber. Or we can go back. Is there another way out here by any chance or no? Okay, I guess we can just...
No, wait.
Okay.
Where are you going?
Well, I've been in the happy chamber a while. I'm feeling very happy. Let's go do something else.
Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this.
Oh.
Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me. Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing.
I don't see any other options to go anywhere. We're going.
No! Oh, thank God you lived. You had me worried there for a moment. No, what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this?
And 2.
Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for me? Yes, perhaps you can. Perhaps
Ooh,
you
the
finally
green
see
now.
what I'm talking about.
Oh
I
god,
know
there's
you'll
evil red
see-
ones as well.
You'll see that we can't be happy if we leave this place. You can see that, can't you?
But let's stare at the pretty colours for a while. Let's see what we get. Ooh, it's like a kaleidoscope. Amazing. This is what LSD must be like. So if nothing's going to happen, I mean, we're going to have to do something, aren't we? And I'm getting a little dizzy spinning around here, so let's just go back.
No, perhaps not. My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You were literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly? Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours.
And this should be the last one, with any luck. And we'll have successfully committed suicide.
Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
Bit of a dark one, that. Let's see what else we can get here.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Oh, hello.
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Ooh. I like this door.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Yay!
As you may know, the
That's the
Stanley
game.
Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley
Ooh.
Parable, delighting audiences the world over.
It's got a smiley face. That means it's good. That's how you know.
Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh,
I paid
well,
like
this sounds
13 and a
delightful.
bit quid
I'm
for
very
this.
excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Better be good.
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
It's a button.
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
Oh, new content.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if
Agreed.
them... Oh, okay. Let's see the content.
Oh.
Give me the content, Stanley.
Yes, I'm with the narrator. Come on. New content.
right.
Ooh.
All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
God, the sound effect is awful as well. Oh, I've lost my jump button. No!
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
Let's see what else there is. Oh, we've got another elevator.
Goodness, another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Thank you, thank you for enjoying the new content.
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable.
Yes.
It's my fault,
We will
Stanley.
do this.
I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Well, there we go. We've seen all the new content for the game. And we're only 25 minutes in, and oh, that. That's not right.
Psst. Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
Oh, this could be interesting then.
Okay, you
Where we're
remember how
going.
cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a
Oh,
look.
is it Dark Souls? Is it Anor Londo? Is that where we're going? Why is the photocopier here? Okay, come on, Anor Londo. Oh,
I
it's
call
not bad.
it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
The memory zone. Ooh.
You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Oh man. Okay, that did make me giggle at that. I wanted to the last Stanley Parable. It did as well. It lost out to The Last of Us that year. Understandable as to why. Honestly, if they'd have brought it out a couple year back when Last of Us 2 came out, they'd have probably beaten them that time on the story. Probably would have. Audience Award, The Stanley Parable. The Stanley Parable Collector's Edition. Is that an actual thing that actually released? Surely not, is it? I don't know. I wouldn't put it past them. Don't forget. Oh man. Oh, it's not that old. That it's on a CRT monitor. It was played on them. No. We're only 2013. Anyway, it's funny to think that it's been. I guess that means it's been nearly nine years about, hasn't it?
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives
That's
and
it.
then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Memory zone maintenance down there. Oh, that might be interesting. Person of the year. Is that Stanley?
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories. These were simpler times, Stanley. What I wouldn't give to go back,
we're going to the
have it
maintenance
all
room.
over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
Oh
Oh,
no.
no. Oh, God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years.
Oh, not the
I can't
Steam
even imagine
reviews.
what's been collecting down here. Surely
No.
these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they? Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Oh, I love how the Steam reviews are just in landfill. Oh, I will admit though, they're actually very useful on Steam. You go on other things and it's like, God, I'd kill for reviews on like
Okay,
that.
let's see
Well,
what this one says.
any like
Well, the idea for the game is
streaming
good.
service would be amazing.
For someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You wouldn't tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. I always, well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Oh, another one. What have we got?
What's this one got to say?
Must be
You constantly
Parable
have to stop
something.
doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have. And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop...
Oh,
Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto.
and
Look,
skip.
I'll... Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place. I guess I should become better educated on exactly how Steam works. Perhaps that would have been the smart thing to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine that after...
And skip.
Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable.
We're not
by
going to
any
go
means,
out
but
and there's going to
well,
like
there's really
be
only
the
so much I can
apocalypse
ramble
happening,
on
is
to
there?
myself about. I know it's
We're just
shocking,
going to go
isn't it?
out and
But
the
at any rate,
aliens will have
I do
invaded and
suggest that we
enslaved
not
us all.
press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly
It'll be like the
demonstrated,
Planet of the
and we can
Apes.
say goodbye to it and just wait. How do we get out of here? Where did the door go?
Skip.
Stanley,
Did the door
please
come
don't
back?
push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer.
I've got a
and my
beard.
God,
I want to
there's
get a
no way
beard.
out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times. And there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button.
Let's do it then.
Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back.
Uh-oh.
Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here.
Man.
Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I
He didn't
needed,
miss
Stanley,
us.
not the
He just
outcome,
missed
not the
having
story.
someone to
None of that matters
be forced
anymore.
to listen to
I'll give
him.
it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single thing I need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything, is to know that someone else is taking it in. These words...
Not coming back, are we?
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time, I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you.
I have. It
To
was
begin
called
with,
lockdown.
There is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it. I could do nothing but wallow in it for what felt like an eternity, for what I now know was far less. You see, it was a revelation for me. It was unlike anything I had ever known.
Just
It was a
slowly
space
made my
without
way
consequence, without action or outcome. It was divorced entirely from the question of free will that you and I have squabbled over for so long. There could be no one ending, no singular outcome of events, not if all events existed in the same moment, and I felt freed. I felt unburdened by the need to manifest a particular outcome into being. I saw that I could allow myself to exist along all timelines,
Okay,
and
he
that
exists
each
on
of them
all
was simply
timelines
a
now?
strand in the web of my being. It was incredible. The space...
Is he dead? Hello?
They didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he went, shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability, it's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world.
I think we're skipping in and out of time.
The end is never the end, 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 is never the
Oh. Has the apocalypse finally happened? Has the destruction of society occurred? Has the collapse come? Is this his attempt for them to get, like, to become The Last of Us 3 and finally get that BAFTA? Is that what this is? Oh, now it's all dead. Oh, that's bad. Now it's all black. It's like nuclear winter black. The noises are getting scarier. Oh! I press the skip button again. Narrator, you're out there. I'm coming to get you. And that is why not all games have skip buttons on the dialogue. Now you know. Right. Thank you very much for watching. I think that's going to do it for this episode. I will see you on the next one where we'll try to get some more interesting new endings. I'll see you then.